Hello, a very warm welcome to Malhotra IAS. Today is Saturday and we'll be taking up the current affairs for this week, right? And my name is Madhusudan Reddy. Let's begin with today's session. So today is 11th of June and we'll be taking up 4 articles that are in news and which has made sufficient news to be in the examination. The first article, which is regarding the green hydrogen. Green hydrogen, if you see, since a week there is so much noise in the market, as well as especially the private sector want to invest so much into this green hydrogen. We'll look into what exactly is the government policy saying, what are the private players, what do they want, and how exactly is this technology going to change the pollution methodologies and the pollution that has been created over a period of time. And the second article is regarding a carbon bomb. You might have heard about various types of bombs, maybe hydrogen bomb, atomic bomb, nuclear bomb, but this is a new type of bomb that has been in news, and most likely these kind of questions are UPSC's favorite questions in preliminary examination. They can figure out in one or the other way, right? And the third article, which is regarding the Manas National Park, which has been talking about the one-horned rhinoceros. Inca population they have increased. There is a reintroduction program that went in, and this reintroduction program has also led to the life expectancy increase in the rhino. So we'll also be looking into the status of rhino, as also the Manas National Parks and other national park locations in the Assam. And the last article that we'll be dealing about is the Kuti Valley. Kuti Valley is a small valley which is located in the central Himalayas, and there are some researches that have been taken place in this valley, and that researches are traced back to 52,000 years. Kuch aisi evidences we got to see them, and based on these evidences it is also said that we can understand the patterns of monsoon, we can understand the westerlies. So let us quickly delve into the topics in detail, right? So if you look into the current affairs, back in February 2022 we have got a hydrogen policy, and in the last same time we have also told the world that in the COP26 meeting, that is Conference of Parties 26, that is in the Glasgow, we are going to be net zero emitters of carbon. And some time back, if you see, Nitin Gadkari, our minister, has come to the parliament. He went to the parliament in a car which is powered by the hydrogen. Apart from that, and there are some other articles in current affairs which says that boosting green hydrogen. What is this green hydrogen? Apart from that, if you also look into the current affairs, especially you just Google and type what is green hydrogen, just green hydrogen, you'll get to see number of articles. A day ago, 3 days ago, 20 hours ago, 2 days ago, there are n number of articles which have been talking about the green hydrogen. So we'll now try to understand what exactly is the green hydrogen and what is the role of the government that has been involved in dealing with this green hydrogen, right? So we have to understand that firstly where we have to use this kind of articles. So for the examination purpose, where are you or where should you as an aspirant can use this article? Firstly, this article is related to science and technology. Basically there is a portion in your syllabus which talks about science and technology and its applications in day-to-day life. And there is another component called energy security. There also this article is relevant, and there is also a topic called climate change, which is a hot topic for UPSC. There also you can use, and other alternative energy sources. These are the topics in the syllabus of the UPSC examination where you can use the article which we are going to discuss in detail, right? Before we go into this article, I wanted to ask you a question. So please try to answer this question which you get to see on the screen. After this, I'll again come back to this question after the explanation, and I'll give you the answer for this. So the question here says that consider the following statements about hydrogen and green hydrogen, right? Now statement 1 says that when hydrogen is produced using solar and wind energy, it is called green hydrogen. When hydrogen is produced using solar and wind energy, it is called green hydrogen. Second statement says that fuel cells use hydrogen as a fuel, and the third statement says natural gas is the major producer of hydrogen gas. So please answer in the comment section. Please answer in the comment section. Let me see what are your answers. Okay, I get to see B, Pragati says B, Ivan says C. Okay, multiple answers B, C, A, nice. Rashi says A, Arushree says D, Mumal Rathor says C. Okay, now please bear with me for some time and I will again come back to this question and answer this question. Before that, before we answer this question, I would like to explain you in detail about this article. So firstly, we have to understand what exactly is a green hydrogen. And hydrogen is something which is abundantly present in the atmosphere. Can we directly use that hydrogen that is present in the atmosphere and tap it and use it for the energy making? The answer would be no. Same like nitrogen, which is abundantly present in the atmosphere. For fixing the nitrogen, that means for the utilization of the nitrogen, you need certain types of bacteria, certain types of technologies. Similarly, hydrogen being the lightest element in the periodic table, you might have heard hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon. This hydrogen is the first element which you get to see. So tapping this hydrogen and producing this hydrogen from the cleaner sources is considered to be as green hydrogen. Now how exactly is hydrogen produced and where exactly are these hydrogens used, that we are going to see in some time. Firstly, what exactly is a green hydrogen? You see here in this screen you get to see some windmills and you also get to see some solar panels and here some hydrogen tanks. Suppose you generate hydrogen by using the clean energies. Clean energy is nothing but maybe it is wind through windmills energy or solar power energy. Through that energy, if you produce hydrogen, then that is called green hydrogen, right? Green hydrogen means a hydrogen that is being produced by green technologies. So how exactly is this green hydrogen produced? It has to go through certain processes. Now what are those processes? Generally, you should have a clean energy, that is clean electricity that is generated from whether it is solar, through wind or any other clean methodologies. When this electricity, if this electricity that is used for the process of electrolysis of the hydrogen from the water. So electrolysis, this sounds to be a little difficult term, it is nothing but electrolysis. See, lysis means breaking down, okay? You break down any two components. Electrolysis means by using the electricity, if at all you are breaking some compounds of a material, then it is called electrolysis, right? For example, you have H2O, that is water. H2O is water. From the same water, if you can also get the hydrogen out from this water. Through what process? Through the process of electrolysis. Electrolysis means you generally use the electricity to separate the two parts of hydrogen and one part of oxygen from the H2O, that is water, and this water which has two parts of hydrogen and one part of oxygen. So if you can separate this H2 and O from the water, then that will be your hydrogen, right? That H2 which you generally separate it from the water, that is called hydrogen, right? Now this hydrogen which is generated using the clean energy, that is we did not generate any greenhouse gases or carbon dioxide in this process, then that produced hydrogen is called green hydrogen, right? Green hydrogen. I hope you are clear. If you have any doubt regarding the definition of the green hydrogen, please let me know. Clear? Okay. Now that you are clear with the definition of the green hydrogen, it is also equally important for you to understand the terms of electrolysis, right? And green hydrogen is generally, you take a bowl of water, and these water bowls are not small bowls. Imagine the size of these big size tanks which undergo the electrolysis in this process, which breaks down the water and separates the O component and H2 component. H2O has two parts of hydrogen and one part of oxygen, right? That means your water, right? So electrolysis is a process in which you generally separate the compounds, that is H2 and O, you separate it, right? Now this type of hydrogen that is generated is called green hydrogen. Now, this process of generating green hydrogen involves one, that is electricity which splits the hydrogen and oxygen atom, that is the first stage, and the second stage is where after the lysis, even after the lysis, there will be certain evaporation of water, right? Certain evaporation of water. Water is also a greenhouse gas, right? Water vapor, which is also considered to be a greenhouse gas, but that is a natural greenhouse gas. So in spite of that, we still call this a technology as green technology. And now that you are clear with the definition of electrolysis green hydrogen, it is also equally important for you to understand the types of hydrogen and what kind of technology do we currently use in generating the hydrogen, right? And how is a green hydrogen different from a grey hydrogen or a blue hydrogen, and what are the processes and the sediments that are left over when during the process of hydrogen. This is what you should know, especially from the preliminary examination point of view, right? Now in this article I would be moving from one area to another area, especially while explaining this green hydrogen. That is, we will also understand the economy of the green hydrogen, we will also understand the science and technology of the green hydrogen, and we will also delve into the climate and environmental relations of the green hydrogen, and what is the role of India in dealing with these green hydrogens, right? So now that the first component which we have learned here is the science and technology behind the generation of green hydrogen, right? Right? In the economic part, you have to understand how costly is green hydrogen, right? How costly is this green hydrogen and what are the benefits of green. Now this is how you have to approach towards your mains regarding this particular article. We'll slowly delve into each other components, and we'll also try to understand the dynamics of this article in detail, right? Now let's get back. Firstly, we have to understand the different types of hydrogen, the current form of hydrogen which we use in the market, or the current form of hydrogen which we use in day-to-day life. I've told you which we use in day-to-day life. Now where exactly do you think you have used hydrogen today? From the time you woke up till the time you sleep, at one or the other point of time, hydrogen was part of your life without your knowledge. Can you name an area where exactly have you used this hydrogen? Can you tell me? Please comment in the comment section if you are aware of where exactly you have used that hydrogen, or how hydrogen is part of your life. Suppose if you had your breakfast in the morning, or even if you have taken a bus, or even if you have taken any transportation from one place to another place, that means your hydrogen is part of your life. How? You don't inhale the hydrogen in raw format, but how come hydrogen is part of your day-to-day life? See, generally hydrogen, most of the hydrogen is used in the industry scale. Most of the hydrogens are used in the industry scale, but without our knowledge, for example, when you had your breakfast, the kind of vegetables or the kind of raw materials that are involved in the breakfast are mostly made from the fertilizers. Now those fertilizers, ammonia, most of the fertilizers do contain ammonia in it, and this ammonia, extraction of ammonia uses large amounts of hydrogen, right? The hydrogen in the process of making the fertilizers such as ammonia needs too much of hydrogen in it. So without your knowledge, you have been subjected to this hydrogen as being part of your life. And the second way is that vehicular movement from one place to another place. So refining the oil or petrol or even any gas that needs a hydrogen, because there is a process in which, while the process of refining some amount of petrol or diesel, there will be sulfur elements that will be formed, and the sulfur elements are generally removed through the process of hydrogen. So hydrogen is part of industries, though we are not directly linked, but we are indirectly linked to this hydrogen. And in every industry, every industry, name a large scale industry, their hydrogen is used, because hydrogen gives good amount of energy and that calorific value will be high, and generally it is considered to be clean energy. But how clean it is dependent upon the generation of this electricity, especially because electrolysis is the process in which hydrogen is being generated. If you generate the electricity from coal and generally you say that I have produced hydrogen from the coal based energy or coal based power, that means it is not considered a green hydrogen. Why? Because some amount of fossil fuels are being burnt in the generation of this greenhouse gases, or in the generation of this hydrogen, then it is not considered to be a green hydrogen, right. So currently in the market, the hydrogen which we use is of green hydrogen, right. From the green hydrogen to today, we are trying to move from green hydrogen se lekar, sorry, grey hydrogen se lekar green hydrogen tak, right. Okay, Shreya Mehta says, hello sir, can you be little slow? Okay, I'll try to explain this in a very slow manner, don't worry Shreya. Okay, coming back, right. See, firstly green hydrogen, firstly grey hydrogen we'll try to understand, right. Grey hydrogen में the current form of hydrogen in the market which is cheaper in nature, ये काफ़ी cheap है as compared to any other hydrogens in the market. Why? Because it is generally split from the natural gas. Now what is natural gas? Can you name a natural gas? Can you name a natural gas? Natural gas is nothing but a gas which is either of methane, ethane, butane or propane. Either methane, ethane, butane or propane, these four are considered to be the natural gases. Methane is already a greenhouse gas, right. This is a greenhouse gas, that is CH4. So from the methane, if you are able to extract, the hydrogen is H2, that means CH4 say H2 you are extracting. That means from greenhouse gas you are taking away that hydrogen from that, right. So the current form of methodologies that we use today are split the natural gas into hydrogen and carbon dioxide. So this natural gas which is generally considered to be methane, that is CH4 or butane or propane, these natural gases which are basically four natural gases that I have shown you in this slide. One is methane, butane, ethane and propane, right. Come back, from this natural gases if you are able to extract carbon dioxide plus hydrogen, then this is called as grey hydrogen. So in the extraction of this grey hydrogen you have extracted the carbon dioxide as well. Now what is carbon dioxide? Carbon dioxide is a pollutant which is a harmful entity to the to the climate. Because if you increase the amount of carbon into the atmosphere, what happens? The temperature, overall temperature of the earth increases. The global climatic change or the global climate change process may carbon plays a major role, right. Now come back and see here, let us look into the green hydrogen. See, in the green hydrogen I have already explained you the process. You take up the water and in this water do the process of electrolysis, that means breaking up the water, that is H2O into hydrogen atoms. You take out the extraction of hydrogen from this by using the renewable sources of energy. Now that is called green hydrogen. In this there is no carbon dioxide that is emitted, right. There is no carbon dioxide that is emitted in the process, and apart from that we are also using the renewable sources of energy, that is solar or wind. Here the sources of energy is from coal based power plants, even the hydropower plants, but in this due process we have emitting carbon dioxide, but here we do not emit carbon dioxide, we use the electricity which are from the renewable sources of energy, right. That is why it is called green hydrogen, and this is called grey hydrogen. The current form of hydrogen which we are using is in the grey hydrogen because this is very cheaper as compared to the green hydrogen, right. Now come and understand another type of hydrogen, that is blue hydrogen. Blue hydrogen, generally it also splits the natural gas, that is methane, ethane, butane and propane, into either carbon dioxide plus hydrogen. This hydrogen is being tapped again, and that is being used in the energies, the industries which are enhancing the energy. In this, the CO2 that is produced here, the CO2 that is produced here is captured and stored. Where is it stored? It is stored under the water. So that's the reason why the CO2, when it is stored under the water, that is called blue hydrogen, right? In the green hydrogen, the CO2 that is emitted into the atmosphere, and that CO2 is into the atmosphere. This will enhance the capabilities or the potential to warm the atmosphere, right? And come back and let us understand another type of hydrogen which is also called as turquoise hydrogen. This is not for UPSC, ये chances पूछने की कम है, the chances are very less to ask these kind of hydrogens, but as this is also a type of hydrogen, I am explaining you, right? In this type of hydrogen, there is no CO2 emitted from the process. In this type of hydrogen also, CO2 is not emitted from the process, and this is not of much of an important area, so we will not be discussing this in detail. For us, for the examination purpose, green hydrogen, grey hydrogen and blue hydrogen are important. Apart from this, you should also understand another type of hydrogen, that is brown hydrogen, right? Brown hydrogen is nothing but when you use coal to generate the hydrogen in the process, if coal is used, then it is called a brown hydrogen, right? Now there is a question that has been asked. It says that, sir, why does they store CO2 in the water? CO2 you store in, suppose the amount of CO2 you generate into the atmosphere, that CO2 will tap the heat of the atmosphere and then it will heat the earth. If you take the excess amount of carbon dioxide that is emitted into the atmosphere, if you take it and store under the ocean, then that is called carbon sequestration. Now these carbon sequestration methods are general methods in tapping the carbon dioxide that is present in the air, so that we can reduce the global atmospheric temperatures, right? Clear? Let us move little ahead. So back in 2021, an year before, if you get to see our global leaders, they are discussing, and when they have discussed, India came up with a program called Panchamitra. In this Panchamitra program, there are 5 principles which India gave. Out of this, one of the major principles which we have to take for the examination is achieving the target of net zero by 2070. So India has given 5 principles that we will be taking up in the further climate related activities. Okay? In order to tackle the climate change, India said that we will be achieving the target of net zero by 2070. Now what is net zero? Net zero is nothing but the amount of carbon dioxide you generate into the atmosphere in India, you will also sink in the same amount of carbon dioxide within an year. That means the amount you emit into the atmosphere, you will also sink in the same amount of carbon dioxide that you generated. Now that is called net zero emissions, that we are going to plan it by 2070, right? So if you keep on increasing the carbon dioxide content into the atmosphere, what happens? We won't be able to meet this 2070 targets. For that, India has come up with many programs. National Action Plan on Climate Change. National Action Plan on Climate Change. Under this program, India has come up with 8 principled programs. One of those programs is generating the solar. You have to tap the solar. We have to increase the forest cover. If you increase the forest cover, these forests that take in the carbon dioxide and give out the oxygen, right? The industries that has emitted the carbon dioxide, our plants will take in that carbon dioxide and give out the oxygen. Now this is called the tapping of the carbon by using the traditional methodologies. So for that, what we have to do, either in order to be our net zero of 2070, either we should stop generating the carbon dioxide or else we have to increase the forest cover. Now India has come up with many plans. One of those plans is that the traditional sources of generating that carbon dioxide from the thermal power plants, that means coal based power plants, hydropower plants, wherever the carbon is emitted from the industries, whether it is steel industry, iron industry or heavy aluminum industries, wherever the pollution is too much in terms of carbon, it is time for us to adopt the clean hydrogen technologies where we can generate less amount of carbon dioxide, right? Clear? So this is called achieving the target of net zero by 2070. In order to achieve this target, India has to go for the hydrogen production increase in green hydrogen. Okay. Now where exactly you can use this green hydrogen? You can also use in vehicles. Our traditional vehicles can also use hydrogen as a fuel, hydrogen fuel cells, right? Because water is abundantly present in the atmosphere. From that water we can generate the hydrogen by using the process of electrolysis. Now what if that is so easy to generate hydrogen, can't we just generate it and use it? Because this technology is already available, can't we use that technology to generate more amount of hydrogen and stop all the fossil fuels related, whether it is petrol, diesel or any other fuel that can generate carbon dioxide? Can't we do it? The answer is no, because the current form of electrolyzers, if you see this, the process of differentiating, the process of separating hydrogen and oxygen from the water, it is very difficult. There are separate machines that will be involved in doing this process. Okay. Now this process which does, the machines are called electrolyzers. Okay. Electrolyzers, India do not have the sufficient amount of technology to produce electrolyzers within India. Hardly 1 or 2 companies does that, and they are very costly. So what we generally do is we import this technology from foreign, and only few companies generally tend to produce the green hydrogen through the process of electrolyzers, through the process of electrolysis, in which electrolyzers are used. So for which India, in order to meet the demands, of the green hydrogen that India wants, we need to produce the green hydrogen within India at a cheaper rate than the rate at which the current grey market hydrogen is present, right? Now back in right. So in the year 2022, especially in the month of February, the government of India came up with a policy and it called as National Green Hydrogen Policy. And in this hydrogen policy, the government of India has given certain incentives. The government of India has given certain incentives, but these incentives did not address the electrolyzers. Okay. Electrolyzers are those machines which we generally import from foreign. So this national hydrogen policy did not talk about the subsidizing the electrolyzers, but somehow it has addressed some of the issues, and these issues are that it said that there will be a waiver of interstate transmission charges shall be granted for a period of 25 years to the producer of the green hydrogen, that is green ammonia, from the projects commissioned before the 30th of June 2025. In simple terms, it means to say that there will be a transmission whenever you are transmitting the electricity that is generated for the production of the greenhouse gases, for the production of the green hydrogen, then you will be given certain incentives. Okay. Those incentives are nothing but you will be given certain subsidy. At times you will be given subsidy, at times you will be asked to tax deduction ho sakta hai. These kind of methodologies have been given. Along with that, it is also said that whoever is manufacturing the green hydrogen, that is manufacturers of the green hydrogen or green ammonia is also the generation of ammonia from the cleaner sources, right? Now they will be given certain bunkers to set up in and around the coastal areas so that they can store their green ammonia and export it or from then and there itself, right. So this seems to be a little technical in nature. I'll try to make it simple for you. So in India, if you look into the economics, of the green hydrogen, currently green hydrogen is somewhere costing between $4 to $6. Okay, $4 to $6. That means on an average 450 rupees, around 250 से लेकर somewhere 450 per liter of green hydrogen. This is the cost of current green hydrogen. So when you are getting petrol and diesel at a cheaper rate, would you go for such high costly material that is available in the market? You definitely not go for that, and because of this the green hydrogen is not being enoughly used in the market, for which the government said that India is one of the best country in terms of generating the renewable So in India, the per unit cost of the renewable energy is so cheap as compared to any other country outside, right. But I am talking about the generation of the electricity or the generation of the electricity through renewable sources per unit, the energy which we generate it at a very cheaper rate. But the government, what it does is, if you have generated an electricity maybe in the certain rural areas which has through windmills or through solar panels, okay, when you transport this energy to different states and generate hydrogen out of it, it becomes costly. Why? Because interstate taxes were there, interstate transmission taxes, charges and other logistical problems were there whenever you generate an electricity, and that electricity transmission to a different areas, maybe to another state, maybe this is another state. So this has turned out to be very costly. Why? The generation here is cheap, but this cheaper generation is now being charged here. Who is charging? Government is charging. Too many charges, too many taxes. So the National Hydrogen Policy came up saying that the waiver of the interstate transmission charges shall be granted for a period of 25 years. That means you generate the renewable sources of energy, and for 25 years we will be giving you the interstate transmission charges, we will be waiving it off. Now what happens? Our generation of the hydrogen, if it is done through green sources or renewable sources, then it is called green hydrogen, right? So instead of increasing this, the government said that we will give you a waiver. That means all the power companies come generate a renewable sources of energy, get rid of coal or get rid of traditional sources of energy, come and generate the green energies or through renewable energies, so that directly or indirectly what we are doing is that the traditional sources of hydrogen which we generally used to do it from the grey methods will now be going for green methods, because this will turn to be more cheaper, right? The electricity generation will be more cheaper. So this has been decided in the National Hydrogen Policy of 2022. Now this is for your mains area, and this is the place where the mains question can be asked, right? So I have told you that we will be dealing this topic in detail in terms of economy, science and tech and climate change, right? So in the economy, firstly the green hydrogen is costly, right? It is costly. And science and technology, the problem here we have is that in the science and technology area we do not have the traditional know-how. We don't know how to make the electrolyzers, We do not have the enough technology, cheaper technology we don't have. That's the reason why. Already economically the hydrogen, green hydrogen is costly because transmission charges were there, and 1 liter is costing somewhere around 500 odd rupees or $6, right? And because of that we don't know the traditional know-how, how electrolyzers are produced. The national hydrogen policy failed in this area. It failed in this area in order to incentivize the production units of the electrolyzers. Instead what they did was they increased the incentives in the areas. If you generate the renewable sources of energy, and that energy if you use it for hydrogen, and that is when Ambani and Adani, they came together, and the France, one of the company from the France, they wanted to invest in India, especially the Adani's company, to enhance the potentials of the green hydrogen, so that national needs are met, right? Now coming back to the climate related, so net zero we said it by 2070. We said it net zero by 2070. In order to meet those targets from the climate angle, we have to generate more amount of hydrogen and reduce the oil and traditional fuel, right? And here you have got a points for climate related and environmental related. From the science and technology angle, you got to deal with the traditional know-how, how to deal with this. Apart from that, from the preliminary examination point of view, electrolysis is an area where the questions can be asked. And thirdly, if you look into the economic angle, you have to make it cheaper. Make it cheaper. Now apart from all of this, you have to understand the demand. You have to understand the demand of the green hydrogen, right? The demand of the green hydrogen, if you look, it will be astonishing. See, generally you look into this, from the traditional sources of generating steel, iron and other major industries which pollute, and the amount of carbon dioxide that come into the atmosphere is somewhere around 830 billion units. 830 billion units of carbon dioxide. Now this 830 billion units of carbon dioxide that is coming into the atmosphere, and this carbon dioxide will start to heat the atmosphere of the earth. Isn't it, will it not be good if we can stop this amount of 830 million tons of carbon dioxide and convert them into a green and clean fuel using methodologies and technologies wherein instead of we give out this pollution, we give out water into the atmosphere. That is quite possible through the process of, if you start to use, instead of coal, start to use the green hydrogen in the industries such as steel, iron or aluminium or other big industries, right? Other big industries it can be used, provided if at all the green hydrogen today we have, it is at $1 per 1 liter. If this is so cheaper as $1 per 1 liter, then these can be used in the traditional areas such as steel plants, such as iron ore plantations, or even in the big industries, right? So currently the amount of carbon dioxide that is emitted into the atmosphere from these big industries is nothing but somewhere around 830 million tons of carbon dioxide, which is equivalent to the total amount of carbon dioxide that is generated including UK, United Kingdom plus Indonesia. United Kingdom plus Indonesia, that is the amount of carbon dioxide that is generated into the atmosphere, especially if you see from the industries such as steel and other areas. And currently the current demand for the hydrogen in India is somewhere around 7 million tons. 7 million tons is the current demand of hydrogen, that is green hydrogen, per annum for every year. That means 7 million tons per year is the required amount of hydrogen, and it is estimated that by the year 2050, we will be reaching somewhere around 28 million tons. 28 million tons. Now, recently there has been a report that has said that the International Energy Agency, which has estimated the global demand for the hydrogen, would be in the year 2022, sorry, in the year 2020 it is 51 metric tons, but it will be by the year 2030 it will be 73 metric tons. That means the need for hydrogen is increasing day by day because there are number of industries that are increasing. So it is high time for us to stop generating the carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Instead of generating the carbon dioxide, if we can reduce the amount of carbon dioxide, increase the forest cover, and also at the same time if we can convert the entire energies which generate pollution into the green hydrogen technology based industries, wherever the heat that is required, that can also be obtained from the hydrogen as a fuel, hydrogen as a cell. So we can easily overcome the 830 million tons which can reduce. So net what exactly it wants to say is that green hydrogen ka time aa hi gaya, right? And symbolically if you see, it is the same symbolic nature that our Ministry of New and Renewable Energy and as well as Roadways and Roadways Ministry, they have come up in the green hydrogen based technology cars. So initially when the electric vehicles were about to be launched into the market, so there was so much of advertisement that took place in the early a decade ago. All of a sudden they did not come. There has been so many incentives that have been given. By giving the incentives, by giving the technical know-how, the traditional methodologies, and at the same time it has been also told that certain areas the EV is mandatory. So you put the restrictions, you put the renewable energy restrictions, so that is when slowly the change comes in. So it is time for us to think of the hydrogen powered based vehicles, hydrogen based industries, hydrogen based technologies which we have to enhance. And because hydrogen is a cleaner energy, when hydrogen is burnt it will not give out the carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, that is why it is considered as clean energy, right? Clear? So from the mains perspective, what we have to understand is that you have to understand this article from 3 dimensions. One from the economy angle, other one science and technology involved and the climate related aspects, and you have to link it up with net zero emissions and the targets which India has set itself and the programs that India has talked about, right? And by the year 2030 India is planning to establish as many as new industries for the hydrogen generation from the cleaner and greener energy, right? Now let's come back to the question. Apart from this, I wanted to show you one more thing. So already there are a couple of buses that have been launched. I don't have the image. Tata के साथ एक contract हुआ था. In that contract it has been said that 2 new hydrogen buses are now commercially used in India and the license has been given, and very soon you will get to see them on the roads, right? Look at the question, come back. Consider the following statements. When hydrogen is produced using solar and wind energy, it is called green hydrogen. I think you will now be able to answer this question. Yes, the statement 1 is right. Fuel cells use hydrogen as fuel. Yes, hydrogen fuel cells, the battery car that you have got to see, that can be used, the generation of that power is mostly from the fuel cells itself. Third one, natural gas is the major producer of greenhouse gas. Yes, you have learned that there are 4 different natural gases. Mostly 70% of the natural gas is your methane and propane, butane and ethane. All these gases can be used for the generation of hydrogen. Now this is talked about. Consider the following statements, right? Now answer here is D, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3, all the statements are right, right? Clear? And many of you are asking my name. My name is Madhusudan Reddy. My name is Madhusudan Reddy, right? So let's come back to our next article, and for those of you who are watching this, you can get this entire PPT in the Telegram channel of Raj Malhotra IAS. You can download it after your class, right? Come back. Our second article, which talks about what are carbon bombs and why environmentalists want them diffused. Why environmentalists want them diffused? You might have heard about hydrogen bombs होता है, nuclear bombs, atom bombs. Now what is this carbon bomb? ठीक है, carbon bomb. Can you comment it down if you are aware of this carbon bomb? Can you comment it down? What is if you are aware of this carbon bomb? Right. Already existing plants. See, carbon bomb is nothing but there are certain industries, and if these certain industries tend to generate more amount of carbon dioxide, which is equivalent to 1 billion tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere during their process of their lifetime. Suppose you established a coal plant, coal thermal based power plant, and this thermal power plant is generating more than 1 billion tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, then this is called as carbon bomb, right. So this carbon bomb is defined by generally a report that has been out a couple of days back, which talks about the state of environment in area, as well as it is also talking about, this report is also talking about areas where the government need to work upon. So in the due process, it has also identified the terms called carbon bomb, and it has also identified certain projects in India that are carbon bombs. We will also try to look into what exactly are these locations, what are those projects. Before that, let me define it for you. A carbon bomb is nothing but a project. It can be a project that is based on oil, or it is also based on the coal. Either it is a coal based project, oil based project, which generates at least 1 billion tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere in their lifetime, right. Suppose you are digging a coal mine. While digging a coal mine itself, you generally pollute, right. First level of pollution already has taken place there. Now the coal that you have generated, you are going to burn it. When you burn the same amount of coal, the second level of pollution is also taking, right. You are polluting twice, one at the state of generation, and also you are also that is extraction of this raw material. At that scale also you are polluting, because the pollution can be of, when you dig the coal mines, you also take out the methane. Methane is something naturally that comes out from the coal mines, right. Now the second level of pollution that you do is when you burn them into the atmosphere. This is how. So together combined, if at all this industry is polluting more than or generating more than at least 1 billion tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, then it is called a carbon bomb. So UPSC can ask these kind of particular topics. The term carbon bomb, which is recently seen in news, is related to which of the following? They will say that it is a bomb that is associated with carbon, nitrogen and hydrogen combinations, or else they will say that it is a bomb which is being used during the Ukraine and Russia war, or there will be another statement when a particular project generates more than 1 billion tons of carbon dioxide. These are the kinds of statements that can be used in your preliminary examination, right. Nice. So I have got a comment here. Ayush says that, sir, stored mines quarries in countries in India like Chhattisgarh. Yes. So before we go any further, let me show you what are the mentioned carbon bombs in India. So in India there are 2 such projects. This report has mentioned what are those carbon bombs. The first one is Jivra coal mines in Chhattisgarh, right, as rightly said by Ayush. Yes, Jivra coal mines in Chhattisgarh, which is owned by Coal India. And the second one is Rajmahal coal mines in eastern Jharkhand, which is owned by Eastern Coalfields. These 2 are the carbon bombs in India which have been listed, and like this every country's carbon bombs are listed on the websites of the that report, right. You need not go and detailedly read about this. And another project which has been mentioned with respect to India, that is Adani Group, our Adani, who owns a coal mine project in Australia, that is Carmichael coal project. This is in Australia. So this project is also considered to be as a carbon bomb, right. Now how to diffuse this carbon bomb, that will also discuss. How to overcome this problem, that also will discuss. See here, Australia, this is the location where Carmichael mine project, which is owned by Adani. So this has been in news not just now, earlier also. The Great Barrier Reef, which is present here, across the Australian coast, you will see the Great Barrier Reef, and this Great Barrier Reef is an area where the coral bleaching took place. It is also said that the pollution that is generated by this coal mine is also leading to the destruction in the Great Barrier Reef. That Great Barrier Reef is nothing but coral reefs that are present across the coast of Australia on the eastern side of the Australian coast. Come back. Now, how to overcome or how to stop these carbon bombs from generating such amounts of carbon dioxide? So, there is a committee, that committee is called LINGO committee, that is Leave It in the Ground initiative. This has been initiated. They say that leave the fossil fuels in the ground and let them be there where it is. Now move to the traditional sources. It is nothing but it is directly or indirectly asking to go back to the, you start to generate green hydrogen, produce more amount of green vehicles, that is usage of electric vehicles, stop generating carbon dioxide, go for clean technologies. These are some things which have been talked about, right? Clear? Now coming to the next article. So this article has been part of our prelims booster itself, and many people have asked me to explain this. Some of the students have come to me, what exactly is this? See, let me tell you, this is an article which says that glacial advances over the thousands of years synchronized with the climate variability finds the study. So there is a study that has been said that there are glacial advances that took place. Glacial advances are nothing but the movement of the glacier little lower into the region. Glacial retreat means the glacier moving towards upper regions of the area, right? So I'll only discuss what is important for the examination point of view. Please do not go into detail and understand the technicalities, because that is for something of a very niche kind of research that has been taken place. So please restrict yourself to an area where the questions can be asked and where whatever you have to know. Firstly, we have to understand a valley that has been in news, that is a particular valley, that is, if you see, the name of the valley here is Yangti Kuti Valley, Yangti Kuti Valley, Yangti Kuti Valley. This valley, there was a research that took place, and the location of this valley is in Pithoragarh district of Uttarakhand, and this falls in the Kumaon region of Himalayas. Now what exactly are Kumaon regions of Himalayas? These Himalayas, those Himalayas that are present between Sutlej river and Kali river, those Himalayas that are present between Sutlej river and Kali river, the range of Himalayas in this area are called Kumaon Himalayas. Okay. The question can be of locational aspect. Yangti Kuti Valley is present in which of the following? That can be, or match the following kind of questions can be asked. This is not a mains kind of question, mostly a prelims kind of question itself. Or else, if at all, a question that can be asked in the mains examination is nothing but how can studying the glaciers can also understand the change in the climate processes. For that, if you have studied geography, you would also be understanding and you will be writing the sufficient answer for that. So come back here. You should also understand the Yangti Kuti Valley is present between Sutlej and Kali rivers, right? And here, before we go further into this article says that there is a certain research institute, that is Wadia Research Institute, and this Wadia Research Institute is also a research institute of the Department of Science and Technology. It is a autonomous body of Department of Science and Technology, and this particular body has went into this Yangti Kuti Valley and they have understood the glacial retreats that have taken place in that area. Now what exactly is the glacial retreat and glacial advancement? Let us try to understand. Suppose the amount of snowfall that take place as compared to the amount of snow that melts. If the melting is more and the snowfall is less, the glacier will retreat. Glacial will retreat means maybe earlier the glacier was present until here. Let me draw a diagram. Suppose this is a mountain. Earlier the glacier that was present maybe until this particular part, right? Now the current glacier, same glacier may be present only till this region. Why? because in the dew process what happens is that most of the snow falls here in the higher regions. Do not just consider this as a single mountain. Imagine series of mountains are there, and in these mountains there is a glacier. If the amount of snowfall is less as compared to the melting, if melting is more than snowfall, now this is not happening just for one day, this will happen for thousands of years. If the same process take place, the glacier will go back means the melting is at a faster rate and the lower regions of the valley will no longer see the glacier. This is called glacial retreat. Okay? This is called glacial retreat. But on the other side, if the snowfall is greater than melting, what happens? The amount of glacier you get to see, it will be at a lower height also, lower valley region also you will get to see, because there is so much deposition that is taking place, the snow. So slowly the glacier has the tendency to move towards the gravity, in the direction of the gravity. The gravity direction is moving of the glacier, right? And the glacier will always move downward. Whenever it is moving, it will leave certain kinds of evidences. So a glacier which is moving downward means more amount of snow as compared to its melting, then it is called advancement of glacier. It is called advancement of glacier, right? When this advancement of glacier is taking place, or even the glacial retreat is taking place, there are certain evidences that are left behind by the glaciers. If you start to go and study those rocks, then you will be also able to understand there has been a climate change that has taken place because of this glacial retreat. Now why is this glaciers which are retreating or which are actually advancing, what are the reasons behind it, that also you have to know. This study has mentioned that the advancement of the glaciers or even the retreatment of the glaciers that took place is somewhere around 60 से लेकर 27,000 years के बीच में हुआ था. Around 60 to 27 years before there has been this retreat, right? And this particular abrupt climatic warning phases have been called as DO events. ये आपको काफी technical है examination purposes के लिए. I don't think there can be any questions on these kind of areas, right? Mostly the questions will be in the locational based. Apart from this, it is also said that the tribes that are living in this particular valley are called Bhotias, Jor, Dharmiya and Chaudansis. Either they are also called as Bhotias, इनको Bhotias भी कहा जाता है. They are also called as Johars or Dharmiyas or Chaudasi people who are living in there. And it also said one more thing. This particular point has created confusion among many students. See, the study that has been carried out in the marine isotope age 3 is said that whatever the changes that have been taking place in the valley, the advancement of the glacier or retreatment of the glacier is because of a North Atlantic millennial scale climate oscillations. North Atlantic millennial scale oscillations. It is nothing but, do not go into technicalities of this. What you have to understand is North Atlantic area में कुछ ऐसी changes in temperatures that has been taken place. Because of that, there have been certain perturbations in the central Himalayas. There are perturbations means the North Atlantic millennial climate oscillations. Oscillation means maybe certain region of the North Atlantic area, it is colder as compared to another region. Because of this change in the temperatures over a period of time, this has also impacted the areas of the central Himalayas, that is Pithoragarh region, that is your Yangti Kuti Valley. This research says that by studying these Himalayas or the glacial retreats, it will be very easy for us to understand and go back into the history and understand the geological events that has taken place, right? From the preliminary point of view, what you have to understand is Wadia Institute of Himalayan Geology is a department under the Science and Technology, एक autonomous department है. By using the science and technology aspects of the glacial retreating. Whenever a glacier that retreats means it moves up, it moves little backward. In that process, the glacier has the tendency to leave behind certain evidences. Now, what are those evidences? It is nothing but there will be certain rocks, right? Under every glacier, you get to see certain rocks. These rocks, along with the movement of the glacier, your rocks will also move in the same direction along with the ice. While they are moving, there will be certain scratches or evidences that are left on the rock. You can actually study those evidences. How many rocks have those patterns, at what time period, if there is any species that are present in this area before the snow has taken place. You can study the carbon dating of this species and understand how long or what is the time period in which this glacial retreat took place. So it is the same time period that is said that it is dating back to the North Atlantic millennial scale climate oscillations, which has also taken place during the 52,000 years time period. You need not understand what is this, it is not important for examination. Okay? Please restrict yourself, your knowledge to this region itself. And lastly, our last article is Rhino Introduction Success in Assam. Our rhino reintroduction program that has been taken place in Assam has been success. So there is a project called Project Rhino, so which has been established in the year 1990, and in the year 1990 it has been decided that it is very important for us to protect this beautiful species called rhinos. Okay. Firstly, we will try to understand the nature of rhinos and the important aspects of rhinos. See, in India the rhinos are vulnerably, the status of rhinos is vulnerable. Okay. In the state of India's rhino is vulnerable in the category of IUCN red list. That means there are sizable numbers of this species, right? And the population, if you see, the Kaziranga National Park alone had 3,500 plus to 3,500 plus in erstwhile, but now there are 2,400 in Kaziranga National Park alone. So their number have been decreased over a period of time, and these animals are considered to be solitary creatures. Solitary creatures means they always stay alone. They always stay alone, and the species is present from, once it was present across the northern plains of India, but now they are restricted only to the Assam area because of the change in the habitat, poaching activities, and this is one of the big, though the size of animal is so big, but it is poached very often, very easy to poach, right? Clear? Apart from that, generally the dung of the rhinos is utilized economically as well as environmentally. So generally the dung of this animal is called dung piles. So these dung piles, which are used by the border polices in identifying the movement of this species, and they move across the border. The border is that if you see the national parks of Assam, only last year there are 2 new national parks that have been added in the Assam region, that is Raimona National Park and Dihang Patkai National Park. Raimona National Park you get to see here on the border between India and Bhutan. Same is the case with Manas National Park, it is also on the borderlines of India and Bhutan, and Kaziranga National Park and Nam, they also have a contiguous forest, and these contiguous forest extends into the Bhutan area, right? So 2 new national parks that have been listed, that is Raimona National Park and Dihang Patkai National Park. Out of the 7 national parks which were present in the Assam region, 2 are new, only in 2021 they have been listed. Now come back and understand this article, what exactly it says. It says that the one-horned rhinoceros of the western Assam, that is Manas National Park, western Assam, that is Manas National Park, which has borders with the Bhutan. It has border with the Bhutan area, and this national park has high expectancy of life with respect to the one-horned rhinos. So those rhinoceros which are living in this Manas National Park will have high expectancy of life. Why? Because at a time this national park did not have any rhinoceros. So recently, after the project Rhino has been taken out, the rhinoceros have been reintroduced from Kaziranga se lekar, they have taken and reintroduced in the Manas. Now that Manas has somewhere around 40 rhinoceros, all these rhinoceros which are generally moving between India and Bhutan, they now has higher life expectancy because of their genetic material makeup. Genetic material makeup is nothing but the diversity, right? The diversity, right? Clear? Diversity of the genetic material that has been used. And with respect to Manas, Manas में potential area ये है prelims में पूछने का, that Manas is also part of UNESCO World Heritage. UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and once it was 100 rhinos were present in the year 1990. All the rhinos were more or less dead by the year 2000 only. When the project of Project Rhino took place, the reintroduction of rhinos has started. They started to move from, they started to reintroduce these rhinos in the Kaziranga se lekar, they transported it to Manas. ठीक है, right? So in this context, what you have to know is some factual aspects with respect to rhino, or critically endangered या vulnerable status. These are all the aspects which you have to be aware of, right? And I have also introduced some climate related initiatives that have been taken by India, because you have to have a holistic picture while you are writing mains for prelims. Also these days, if you have looked into the paper, the nature of questions are very dynamic in nature. You have to interlink one component and other component, right? That is it for today. See you on next Saturday. We'll be coming up with more related articles, and thank you guys for giving this opportunity. See you guys in the next week. And if at all, okay, thank you.